So welcome to the Trump Tyranny Tracker. I'm Zev Shalev with Olga Lautman. And today's a special day because we're doing our first seminar tonight at 8 p.m. If you haven't signed up yet, there is still room and we encourage you to do it. It's all about authoritarianism. Authoritarianism 101 is what we're calling it. And we're going to explain everything there is to know about authoritarianism, how to identify it, how to track it, how to defeat it. All of that is coming up later on at 8 p.m. And I know, Olga, you're very excited about tonight's session.
I am. I really am, because I'm looking forward to talking to people from around the country, see like what they're seeing. I'm from Norway.
Around the world, never mind the
Yeah.
country.
And just see what they're seeing, and and kind of like, pinpoint the things that we should be focused on, because there is so much flooding the news. Trump just doesn't give a break, not even for a second. But about 80% of it we should dismiss, and about 20% is actually what matters to us. And that's what I think we need to focus on. And that's why I look forward to getting into this.
Yeah, and if people want to still sign up, what they will need to do is go to either your or my Substacks. It's either at trumptyrannytracker.substack.com or narativ.org, narativ.org. And then you'll find the post there about it, and I'll push it up to the top of the feed after we do this. But people can sign up there. You have to register because it's through Google Meet. We're not doing it on Substack. It's a separate thing, but that way we get to talk to you directly and see your faces and hear from you directly. So please sign up before. You can't just expect at 8 o'clock to just be finding the link and then going and joining us. So you have to register before. So please do it. It's for paid subscribers. You have to have a paid subscription to either the Trump Tyranny Tracker or Unmasking Russia or to narativ.org. And now it's time for day 135 of the Trump Tyranny Tracker. We're tracking the most significant authoritarian developments in the last 24 hours, and there have been so many. This actually goes back a little further than this, but the biggest story in the tracker today is all about Tulsi Gabbard. Let's talk about Kursk. Let's talk about the
let's start with Ukraine, because
I'm sorry. I should have started. Yes. I was about to race ahead into that. A big day today because they were able to detonate some underwater bombs that sort of at least closed the bridge temporarily. Yeah. Tell us what you know. And quite another coup. It wasn't as big as the spider web, but it's still pretty impressive.
I can't wait for the bridge to go boom, boom, honestly. Since the day that Putin drove over the bridge with Rodenberg, who built the bridge, his company, this illegal bridge, I was like, oh, God, this bridge needs to be blown up one day, because, it's an illegal bridge. But anyway, to get back to it, following up on what we saw over the weekend, and, Ukraine having that successful operation of taking Russia's strategic bombers out. The more I look at videos, the more I keep laughing. They put tires on top of the planes.
It's very funny. The whole thing is just, it's very well done. It's really well done from a psychological perspective and from a effectiveness. It was brilliant.
But then today you had, big detonations in the Kursk bridge. And hopefully this is, I think, the second or third time that it's happened since the full-scale invasion. Frankly, I'm looking forward. The two things, like I keep saying, I look forward to. One, Putin going bye-bye, and two, this bridge being blown to smithereens, because, honestly, any attachment to Russia needs to be destroyed. So that was, temporarily, they did do damage to the bridge. Hopefully there's going to be more follow-up, and I can't wait for that bridge to collapse.
It is such an important thing that they've done both in the spiderweb operation and in the bridge operation, is to disrupt the ability to bring supplies to the front lines. The bombers were doing a lot of that too. There's a lot of just logistical stuff that has really hurt the Russian army's ability to prosecute this war.
What wasn't as much widely focused on Sunday was also that Ukrainians hit a military train rail in Melitopol, which they temporarily occupy. And that also, we need to just destroy everything, frankly, every connection with the bridge. My only thing is get the Russians out of Crimea, because when Russia illegally annexed Crimea, they bust in a lot of Russians in order to change the demographic of the island, the peninsula. And, my thing is that we need to send them back home. It's not their home. They came, they stole Ukrainian businesses and homes. Children were kidnapped at the time and sent to Russia. So get them out and then blow up the bridge. And
Well,
that's it.
I like the blunt terms you use, but some of it scares me when I hear people speaking about these blunt terms. But anyhow, I'm glad you're as passionate as you are about everything that you're saying.
Very simple.
Let's get back onto the tracker then. So for day 135, this story really caught my eye as well. Tulsi Gabbard, who is the head of intelligence basically in the administration, is reportedly exploring turning President Trump's daily brief. This is the PDB. It's a very important thing. It's where the president gets briefed about every important hotspot in the world. Now, she wants to turn it into a Fox News style video presentation, complete with flashy graphics and possibly even a network personality presenter. This comes as Trump continues to take intelligence briefings less than once a week and actively avoids any move that represents a fundamental shift in how critical national security intelligence reaches the commander-in-chief. So he's resisting some of this stuff, but boy, I mean, Fox News doing the PDB is like allowing the main propagandist to basically propagandize to the president.
I included this for two reasons. One, just to give everyone a laugh at how absurd this regime is. I mean, this is the most idiotic regime I've ever seen. Look, you have like Putin in Russia or Xi in China. I promise you, they're not freaking, watching. Getting their intelligence briefings in freaking slides in a TV style propaganda thing. Um, so the one is for humor. The second, though, is the seriousness of it. That this is the president of the United States, who, frankly, cannot take time to focus on and listen to intelligence assessments on things happening around the world. At this time, we have Russia, with its full-scale genocidal war in Ukraine. We have every single European and defense agency sounding the alarm, that Russia's preparing an invasion into Europe, hitting a NATO country. Um, Mainly that NATO country. Then you have what's happening in the Middle East with Gaza and Israel. You have China, who, right now they're in a war of words, and Hegseth is, taunting them that try to take Taiwan. You'll see, using his bullying. Clearly, we're supposed to stand with Taiwan, but this is not exactly how you express it by acting like, some drunk fool. And you have all these hotspots. I'm not even going to get into Africa and what's happening, which is very important, by the way, because since we pulled out U.S. AID, the terrorist organizations, primarily Al Qaeda aligned organizations and ISIS, have been strengthening. And you have Pentagon officials warning that we are primed for terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. And with all of this happening, you have Trump, who can't be bothered to listen to what is happening and the threats, how it affects our national security. And on top of it, you have a Russian agent who wants to create a freaking, new style propaganda slide for Trump to deliver him his briefings, which then means that you're going to have a Fox News propagandist with access to our most sensitive information.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is what's one of the most striking things is it's not only that they want to do something in the style of Fox News to convince the president, is that they actually want to get Fox News involved in making the presidential daily brief, which is unheard of. Firstly, there is a complete line separating the state and journalism for a good reason. You need the fourth estate to report on the state, and that's how you get to, objective coverage of them or something even resembling objective coverage, although you don't get that on Fox. But the idea of actually even approaching Fox News to have them consult on how to do the PDB is outrageous. It's outrageous. It's in every way to give them access to that kind of intelligence data ahead of everybody else, and also knowing their abilities to leak because they're famous leakers at Fox News. This is kind of stunning that they'll do something like that.
And then with the National Security Council gutted and people who actually give accurate intelligence being purged, I mean, what are we left with? I mean, really,
Yeah, and really,
what is going to be delivered to Trump? Oh, Putin is great. He's amazing. Zelensky, dictator, horrible. He's the one who needs to be, have actions taken on. Europeans are enemies, AFD, the far right party. Oh, these are our friends. I mean, this is the type of intelligence that will be delivered to
let's
them.
not forget, Tucker Carlson came from Fox News. I mean, that's the quality of anchor they have over there. That's the kind of Russian propagandists they have on the air there. If anyone like that is involved in doing the PDB, that would be quite...
Well, let's not forget that there was a producer for Fox News, I believe Sean Hannity, who
Sean
went
Hannity's
and
pretty
helped Malofeev's Tsargrad to launch the Tsargrad. So I
correct,
mean,
and he was
there's
sanctioned
a
as
lot
well
of alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. He broke the sanctions and was sanctioned by the Treasury Department. I don't remember his name, but you're right. It was Hannity's producer. Hannity's also well known for, conferring with the Kremlin on occasion.
Yep.
Let's move into the second story of the day, which is about the pro-Trump reporter at the OAN has been fired, which is kind of an unusual thing because they don't normally do that. But we'll find out why in the story, because even pro-Trump media isn't safe from retaliation. Gabrielle Cuccia, a Pentagon correspondent for the Trump-friendly One American News Network, was fired after criticizing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's media restrictions. In a Substack post, she accused Hegseth's team of actually leaking more information than journalists while simultaneously clamping down on press access. Her firing came swiftly after the criticism went public. So here's her just criticizing him about policy inside the Pentagon. And even that's not acceptable.
Well, this is why I included the story. Frankly, I don't care if she gets fired. I mean, one less propagandist there. Yeah. But the point is, in Russia, it doesn't matter how loyal you are to the Kremlin. The one time that you actually do have a unique thought, you will be either fired, jailed, or have some kind of issues. And this just shows you where, MAGA is ushering in this authoritarianism. They think they're safe. They feel, so high and protected because they helped put Trump into office. But they don't realize that dictators turn on anyone. And the minute any of them start questioning something, you will be like this Gabriella. And that's why I included it just for the tactics purpose, because in a dictatorship, there is no loyalty. None. Zero.
There isn't any loyalty, but also OAN is notorious for spreading conspiracy theories, for like actually starting conspiracy theories. They're partly responsible for the Stop the Steal thing. There's a sense there that this is really a propagandist arm of the White House and of the Kremlin, and it's kind of unusual that she didn't know that she couldn't criticize Hegseth. I mean, you'd think that would have been implicit in being hired there, but maybe.
And they are also worked with Russian intelligence during the 2020 election against the Bidens. So, I mean, there's also another alignment.
Yeah, they went with Rudy to Ukraine.
And to see Firtash in Vienna, who is, one of the main movers for the Kremlin. So, I mean, there's a lot of intersection again. It's nonstop between Russia, the far right, and this. But it just shows you no one is safe. And this is, why I brought it up. Because frankly, for me, like I said, I couldn't care less what happens to her. But this is a very, very, classic tactic in authoritarian regimes that no matter how much loyalty you exhibit, the minute you criticize or question, bye-bye.
Maybe Tulsi Gabbard can hire her to do the daily brief. She's out of work now, so she might be the right person for it. Our third story shows Trump wielding economic weapons against corporate speech. The president has threatened a 25% tariff on iPhones and 100% tariff on toys after Apple and Mattel CEOs announced business plans that conflicted with his domestic manufacturing agenda. Apple mentioned moving some production to India, while Mattel warned that tariffs would increase toy prices. Both statements that apparently warranted immediate economic retaliation threats from the president.
Welcome to Russia,
Mhm.
where the regime tells private businesses, dictates the terms and how they should function. I mean, this is extremely troubling because, look, we'll see what happens whether Trump follows through. But even the fact that he is going, and we've seen this time and again over the past few months, going after private universities, private companies. I mean, the reason that America has one of the strongest, well, if had, I'm not sure has anymore, strongest economies and was so trusted was because one, we had the rule of law. People can easily trust to open their businesses here, invest in this country, knowing that, it's not a banana republic and that if you piss off the leader, you're going to end up having your assets seized or some kind of retaliation against you. And this just shows, I mean, we literally are, 4 months in, and this is, what's already happening where he's threatening to go after American companies and getting involved in the private sector with
Yeah.
threats. Not how can we work together? What can we do? How can the government help you, bring some of the no, threats. If you don't do this, then this is the price you're going to pay, and I will weaponize the agencies that I control to go after you.
This is
And this
this
is a dangerous tipping point when it comes to just this intersection between government and private businesses.
I mean, also, this is a man who's been bankrupt several times, who couldn't run any of his businesses. Telling these major corporations how to run their business is ridiculous. But then these retaliations are unheard of. I mean, these will obviously push the prices of iPhones up tremendously and toys up tremendously. How is that good for the economy in any way? It's just a tax that's going to end up being passed on to consumers anyhow.
He doesn't care about the economy, nor does he care about the consumers. The only
Mhm.
thing he cares about is seizing full control of the government. I will tell you, in Russia, you still have about, and don't ever say it online, you, you'll end up being threatened that you're going to be dead under a bridge. But you have still like 35% of houses that have no toilets. Why does Russian houses have no toilets? Because, why do? Because Putin is stealing everything. His people are stealing everything. And this is a very sore spot.
When you say no
Yeah.
toilets, you mean they're outhouses, or there are no toilets inside the bathroom? What do you mean by no
They
toilets?
don't have toilets in their house.
No, no bathrooms or no.
Yeah, they don't
Okay.
have. Yeah, and
So
then
they're outside basically. They're outside
yeah, once
outhouses.
you step out of Moscow, because Moscow, the crown jewel, St. Petersburg. I mean, once you step out of Moscow, I mean, the houses look like shit, you know, um, and frankly, everything. Hospitals, you have holes in the walls, rust. I mean, some of the hospitals honestly look like they were, bombed in World War II and never reconstructed after. That's how bad they are. But the point is, this is what happens when you have a dictator who's focused, on stealing everything for themselves and their cronies. They don't care how people live, and he doesn't care if the economy, collapses. If anything, for him, it's better because people will be occupied with the pain of trying to survive versus fighting, or at least that's what he hopes, versus fighting his power grab. So.
So what you're seeing here is something akin to the oligarchy in Russia, where he's trying to bring Mattel and Tim Cook under his control, basically by threatening these tariffs. So this is a measure to get them used to following his instructions, and it's one of the things that he's doing with these tariffs. Yeah. I mean, but all businesses, but
Yep.
starting with these two, hey, you don't cross me. This is what happens to businesses that cross me.
Yes, exactly. And you're seeing the same. I mean, with Harvard, Harvard is just one example, very public one. The goal is to go after every university, whether it is, a local college, a 2-year program, or whether it's an elite university. The goal is to seize all universities and force them, to teach and do what you say and hire who you say and allow who you say. So, I mean, there's more to it, but it is unprecedented. I mean, again, these are big companies that can fight for themselves. But once you see the government so heavy handed going after private businesses, this becomes the problem. And not only for the businesses in this country, but just in general for people who think, prior for decades and decades post World War II, always felt it was safe to keep their assets in the United States.
And it always surprises me that Republicans don't realize what they're doing. Maybe they do realize they don't care, but they're killing capitalism, which is the thing that they used to aspire towards, the thing they used to protect. You can't have capitalism if the president of the United States can tell a CEO what to do and what prices to sell their products at. That's not capitalism anymore. That's not an equal market. That's a authoritarian Chinese style market where the king gets to tell you how much you sell things for, and that's it. So, the idea of these Republicans who for so long have been free market, supporters and all these other things, that they're the ones killing the free market with Donald Trump as their president is quite something to see.
Yeah.
The final story today is all about the Arctic. And, the Pentagon is moving Greenland from European Command to U.S. Northern Command. Officials say this will align the Danish territory more closely with the United States, a move that directly supports Trump's escalating threats to annex Greenland. The command restructuring is expected to happen this week, giving military backing to what many saw as empty territorial bluster, but we never saw it as that. I mean, it seems to me like he really is after Greenland, and whether they like it or not, they're going to be in the North American sphere of influence directly.
I mean, again, this is according to Trump's, vision. They will because he's moving it within the Pentagon, like that area. But the bottom line is, it is extremely serious, because here you have, and I keep repeating this. I mean, the first two countries Trump attacked when he came back to power, threatening to an invasion or some kind of military force, is Canada, who's an original founder of NATO. And Greenland, who's under the protection of NATO, because of Denmark. The fact that he's going after our NATO allies and at the same time, throwing insane tariffs against European countries and at the same time undermining, NATO and saying that, US will not meet its obligation if an Article 5 is pulled. I mean, this just shows you how crazy, what his intentions are. And I mean, Greenland is a sovereign country. I cannot believe that I'm going to have to be screaming about Greenland just as much as Ukraine because this is a total Putin move. I mean, only Putin, throws a dart and it's like, oh, my country. And that's it. And in his head, he'll even go change the constitution and say, this is my country. That's it.
Now, there's always been a
and
base up in Greenland, and that's probably what they mean in terms of like how they're defining it in terms of operational zones. There's a base up there. They're probably moving it from European to, you think it's not?
No, I think it's more serious than that because also European officials are alarmed that the CIA has been spying on Greenland and obtaining information basically on their, local movements, the politics, this, that, and that. No, they're looking at what they're doing, what Putin did to Crimea before he launched his full-scale invasion. This is what this is being set up for. I mean, and can NATO do anything? Of course, you're going to have the French and, the British fighting Americans in Greenland. I mean, Macron already said if the U.S. launches a military invasion into Greenland, that, the French are going to defend Greenland, as will all other Europeans. So, I mean, Trump is trying to put us on a track to fight our European allies and Canadians at the same time as you have, Russia who's threatening. There are threats that Russia's going to move further into Europe. So I would
Wow.
take it very seriously because, there's a lot of movement around Greenland. And again, we have been working with Greenland forever. We have a military base there. There has always been intelligence sharing and, joint partnerships. We've had no issues. Trump just woke up and said, I want to own this territory. Well, it's not your country to own. I want my neighbor's house. Doesn't mean I can
You
have
get to
my
do it.
neighbor's.
It's
House.
interesting when
Yeah.
Vinod Carney was elected prime minister in Canada and took such a tough anti-Trump stance. It became much clearer that Greenland was going to be the bigger target because he can't have Canada. Clearly, Canada is not giving in any way. So he's going to go after Greenland in a much bigger way in order to gain access ultimately to the Arctic. This is all about the trade routes and about controlling the Arctic, and certainly something that Donald Trump thinks America should have, along with these other sort of imperialist goals.
Why I say, that since NATO is going to be problematic, over the next few years, as long as we're hijacked here, um, that's why I say that, Canada, Europe, Ukraine, like Ukraine, all of Europe, South Korea should just form their own military alliance,
Hmm.
something that they can work together, protect each other in different spheres. Because, I mean, America right now is, it's like Russia.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. The G7 is next week or whatever they're calling it now. That'll be interesting. It's happening in 2 weeks from now in Canada, in Alberta. It'll be interesting
Yeah,
to see how
they
that.
invaded.
Yeah,
They invaded. They invited uh, Zelensky. I
yeah,
know.
and Trump will be there apparently. So we shall see it. It'll be an interesting meeting.
Mm.
That's the Trump Tyranny Tracker for day 135. We will be back tonight at 8 p.m. for part 1 for the first seminar in our summer seminar series on Authoritarianism 101. And tonight's topic is all about, what is authoritarianism? How do you really identify it? So we'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. only for paid subscribers. Become a paid subscriber if you're not yet at trumptyrannytracker.substack.com or at narativ.org, narativ.org, and join us tonight for part 1 of this really interesting seminar series that we're doing. And that's the
Thank
show for
you.
today.
Bye.
See you later, Olga.
See you later.
Bye.